astonishing exception. From the man on the land to the pinstripe broker to John and Cell Block C, they'll all sing you songs about the Melbourne Cup. How it's run on the first Tuesday in November. How for a tick over 3 minutes it stops a nation. How it's beyond floods and droughts and stock market crashes and the law of the land. And that the Cup is not simply a horse race. It began in 1861, little more than a week after Burke and Wills had lost their race for life in the harsh north. Archer, who'd walked all the way from Nowra in New South Wales, won the first Cup and the second. So from the beginning the race had precedent. Remember, unlike the derbies, more times than not the Cup is won by unfashionable slab-sided old geldings, but never by a weak horse. It has no pattern, no rule. Carrying the grandstand weight of 9 stone 10 with mud up to his hocks, the legendary Peter Pan escaped a near wipeout to win in 1934. Yet Tulloch, an out-and-out champion, the best since Farlap, toils so far behind all those hacks in 1960. It's about emotion. For every sorry tale, there's a dozen to warm your heart. In 1973, Frank Rays, one of 14 children, his body patched up from fall after fall, won on Gala Supreme. At the presentation ceremony, 103,000 racegoers choked back emotion as the battling jockey broke down and wept for joy. For those few minutes, for that day, for that chapter in history, Francis Norman Rays was a national hero. Insanity prevailed in 1976 when Van der Ham performed as a lightning bolt through the mud in some of the weirdest, wildest, most wonderful scenes in Cup memory. Every year its history grows and the world draws closer to our institution. This decade, Robert Sangster's Belldale Ball and the Arab Sheiks at Talak have saluted. Last year it was Empire Rose striking back. So big, yet so beautifully precious. Every year, it's your day. It's Australia's day. It's the first Tuesday in November, the day they run the Melbourne Cup.
Racing. Crowd roars and they jump into the line today. Nothing but no start. They've got away with it to the inside. Natalie is behind the showing good speed with the running forward. Quite fast. It's going to lose them over the trolley. It's Cam Deep with the way well and now Bono out wide. Empire Rose are in front. Natsky trying to get to her. Empire Rose are half in front. Natsky won't make it. And the big bear wins. Empire Rose beats Natsky.
An aerial view of famous Flemington racetrack. Good afternoon and welcome back to all our viewers around Australia for the running of the 1989 Melbourne Cup, with a special welcome to viewers throughout North America, Europe, the Middle East, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Singapore, to our friends across the Tasman in New Zealand and to our friends in Papua New Guinea joining us for the Melbourne Cup for the very first time. And with me, as he's been all day, one of Australia's outstanding racing brains and not a bad fellow, Bruce McAvaney.
Thanks for that, Mike. It's going to be a great race, great cup. As we said earlier, we've got a chance of history being made here today because the two favourites have both got to write their way into the record books, and that's Empire Rose and Stylish Sentry. Mike, there's been an enormous amount of money bet on this race already. Expected something like $100 million will be bet on the Melbourne Cup. We have two systems in Australia, the tote and also the bookmakers, the best of both worlds. And on the tote in Victoria for 50 cents, Empire Rose, the Bonnie mare trying to win it for the second time, is $3.10 for a win. Superimpose at $9.45. Lord Highbrow, $25. Now Botto's the only scratching. Kosh King at $4.20. Terrific at $12.65. Ideal Centre Man at $11.30. Coal Diesel hoping to become the 8th horse to win the classic double in Australia, the Caulfield Melbourne Cup, at $3.75. Coods at $15.80, one of the international horses. Research, the Horse of the Year at $8.30. Saratov, $30. Fleetwood Lad, $11.55. Hidden Rhythm, a Derby winner at $43. Palace Revolta, Sydney Cup winner at $41. The Phantom from New Zealand at $8. Pacific Mirage, $43. Power of Destiny carrying Robert Sangster's famous colours at $35. Kate's Mill at $9, trained by an Irishman. Plume d'Or Vale being ridden by a lady jockey for only the second time in Cup history, $33. Sea Legend 10, he's been here before and run a place. Go Pack from Britain at $13. Citizen from Tasmania at $8. Salis Opera, $51. And the 3-year-old Starley Century, hoping to be the first in 48 years, at $3.80. Huge pool, Mike. So it's all set up for a fabulous race.
Yes, they're the payout figures on the totalisator, but here in Australia, of course, we have our famous betting rings. In the United States, you don't know about these betting rings. In Australia, they are legendary. Let's cross to a legend in his own right at the betting ring, Bob Mormel.
Thank you, Mike. Well, here in the betting ring, the Australians' love of a bet is certainly starting to show as they pour forward to take on the bag boys. They're putting plenty on the fancied runners here. Indeed, they're putting plenty on every runner. Australians love to take the bookmakers on, and they certainly do it in the betting ring on Melbourne Cup Day. They pull money from everywhere. Forget the economy, forget your problems, forget the weather, get in and have a bet. This is the big one, and Australians are doing it in their thousands. Off course, millions. In the betting rings, many, many millions. The one that the bookmakers have taken a risk with and will hurt them badly is Coal Diesel. From the opening of betting this morning, Coal Diesel has been solidly supported. He was vying for favouritism with the mare Empire Rose for a while. He's now a firm equal second favourite. The youngster, Stylish Century, winner of the Victoria Derby on Saturday, has always been favourite. Now they're rallying the punters. The small punters are finding their dollars and rallying to the Bonnie mare Empire Rose. She got out to 7-1. She's now into a tighter quote. She's going to run second favourite, Stylish Century favourite. The worst result for the bookies, most certainly Coal Diesel, Gibbo.
Thank you, Bob Mormel, there in the betting ring, and this will be a very, very open Melbourne Cup.